I love them so very much. All right, well, I'm finna do this show. Tune into the show. We're finna do the show. So I'm gonna holler back at you afterwards. All right, peace.
All right, what's happening? Welcome to the show. It's Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Be sure to spread the word. Go ahead and download that app so you can get all the stuff that we like to bring to you every day. And then, of course, you can take it everywhere you want to go, even if you like in Timbuktu. Well, you got to have an internet connection, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. So get that stuff downloaded so we can get into some of the stuff that we need to talk about today. Tons and tons of stuff to talk about today, of course. Before we get started in our Black Facts, let me welcome Robert Webb to the show.
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
I'm good. How about
Are
you?
you talking
I
to the
got no
mic?
sound. Yeah, I ain't got no sound at all.
Not getting. Might need to get you to move over to that one.
I'm in the right one?
Yeah, that's the correct one. Don't know what's going on.
I'm in my favorite seat, man.
Just move over there to that one. So we figure out. Well, just unplug that one. Unplug it and replug it and see what happens. No, I'm not getting any audio at all from it all of a sudden. It's working fine yesterday. Yeah, just move over
It's a
to this other
conspiracy.
one. Just go ahead and get that down. Sorry about that, man. All right, so y'all go ahead and come on into the show. We got a few things to talk about today, of course. I'll read the teas to you. Oh, that's so much.
That's what's up. That's what's
so
up.
how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm up in this piece, bro. As always.
How was your weekend?
Man, gee whiz. My weekend was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
So you're the only person I know that has 2 weekends. So I asked you that question yesterday. I thought I'd try to throw you off a little bit.
It don't matter, man.
So let's, tell you what, let's go ahead and we're going to do a Black Fact today. I was looking for some statistics for the show, and time kind of snuck up on me, but that's okay. But we've got plenty of Black Facts, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm trying to decide which one I want to do. Okay. Ooh, we could do Chic Auntie Diop.
Which one?
Let's see, John Henry Clark versus Mary Lefkowitz. That's a long one. I've got some other ones on here. Oh, okay, let's do that one. All right, today I'm going to do something a little bit about Egypt and things of that nature. And this particular Black Fact came to me by a young lady who goes under the moniker of Smit Ramat. Mot is the ancient Egyptian religion. And this particular Black Fact is going to deal with some of the early people. Our history did not begin in chains. Our history goes back millions of years before any other god. There was the god of the African. The early Africans were highly developed, evolving spiritual people who began their development over 4 million years ago in Africa, and in countries such as Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, parts of Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, the Sudan and Tanzania, and even in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. And it may be important to cite here that ancient Mesopotamia was then too inhabited by Africans, migrating Africans from the east, who later became known as the Havilites and dwelled in the south of Mesopotamia. Several advanced African civilizations developed within the Nile Valley hundreds of thousands of years ago. The Nile Valley people, 20,000 years BCE, Nabda Playa, 10,000 BCE, Kerma, 9,500 BCE, and Egypt, 7,000 BCE. Notice Egypt was the last one. There is where we have received our history, our culture, our stories, fables, myths, pantheons, and religion. The history is vast. The first hunter and gatherers came from Africa. We are descendants of a great people who have been scattered all over the world. Our children have been taught nothing of the first people of the earth. These people were the forerunners in the development of science, culture, technology, philosophy, arts, and sciences. Some of the technology is still being used today: embalming, organ extraction, heart surgery, calendars, etc. Chemical science was practiced in ancient Kemet as early as 4,000 years BC. Surgical science was practiced in Mali, that's West Africa, during the same period. These civilizations were advanced and employed a variety of sciences, astrology, philosophy, and mathematics as early as 17,000 BC. That means 17,000 years before Christ in some areas. Empires and civilizations arose, such as the Zinc Empire in 15,000 BC, and civilization in the Nile Valley, Kemet, Egypt, and Nubia, Kush, also existed. What's that name in the Bible they refer to Ethiopia as? Kush. Hello? The Egyptians never called themselves Egyptians. That is a Greek term given to them. The ancient people of the Nile Valley called themselves Kemet, meaning black, also referred to as the land of the black people and or the black lands, and so on. They were known to the Greeks as Agotupos, which is Latin, means Egyptus, and translated into English, that gives us the word Egyptian. Osiris was widely worshipped as the Lord of the dead until the suppression of Egyptian religion during the Christian Crusades. The Virgin Black Madonna, y'all have heard of the shrine of the Black Madonna, haven't you? And the child were only images of the Christ child. The child was Horus, the mother Isis, the father Osiris. It wasn't until the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, 300 years after Christ died, that the original religion closest to the ancient African religion was altered and changed. The Great Pyramids, the Red Pyramid, the Ben Pyramid, the pyramids of Giza, and the Great Sphinx were built by these ancient people. Europe was still shrouded in a vast sea of darkness when Egypt's earliest civilizations had reached their zenith. Africa has the longest history on earth and was one of the most advanced and richest nations of its time. Its ancient ruins at Abydos, Memphis, Thebes, the Temple of Karnak, and the Valley of the Kings outside Luxor were built by these ancient black people.
I'm Tucker Carlson today, man.
And
that's a hoax.
And you know, if you talk Carlson, you might get choked up in here today. And that's our black fact for today. Hey, Jackie, what's up? Now, if you'd like to sponsor Black Facts, call me up at 615-554-0568 and I'll hook you up. And also, we'll talk a little bit about an advertising package that I can get you going for the holidays. Yes, I said the holidays. You know, in September, that's when you need to start advertising for your Christmas shopping and your Christmas customers. So call me up. We got a good package for you. Now, the fascinating thing about that is you were hearing them talk about 17,000, 15,000 BC.
Right.
Okay? That means before Christ.
Right.
Okay? Now, the Bible only tells you that the Bible is only maybe 6,000 years old. Y'all do the math. Okay? Whew. Got you thinking already today, don't it? A lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, I found it interesting, and I was looking for the legislation. And I'll tell you what, let me just read the T's for today. Why don't I just do that? Okay? Because I got a little annoyed yesterday at a local elected official. Today we discussed the aftermath of rhetoric and how that sound has caused some in the party and some in that party to abandon their race baiting, at least for the time being. Here in Arkansas, the governor wants a hate crime enhancement law. He must have been sleeping when that piece of legislation was put forward in 2017. He must have also been sleeping while over 8,000 white supremacists make their homes in the land of opportunity. Would y'all please tell Asa and the other repugnants, we don't need his pandering, we need results. And that's where we start today. Hey Robert, how you doing?
What's up, Black?
You doing all right?
I'm cool, Black. How about you?
I'm doing fine. You know, so yesterday it came out on all of the local news outlets. Governor Asa Hutchinson announced Tuesday he wants to pass legislation condemning hate crimes. Here's
want to pass legislation to condemn hate crimes?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like good. That's like good sound legislation.
If you're going to target an individual because of their religion or their race or ethnicity, then you're going to have an enhanced penalty. Most states have this type of legislation already, but Arkansas is one of 4 that does not.
What's the other 3?
Okay. I'll check here in just a moment. Let's see. Hutchinson also said one of the 3 mass shooters has some sort of mental health issue. Emphasis, that's their talking point.
But I mean, it's true, though, to some degree.
Yeah, okay. That's their talking point. But anyway, emphasizing the importance of crisis stabilization centers. But remember, y'all blocked all that under the affordable health care. Y'all remember that? Okay. So, but anyway, so that's what he wants. Now, I didn't know when I read that first article, but apparently hate crime legislation was put forth in Arkansas in 2017.
By who?
I don't know, but I saw the article, and I'm going to look it up here in a moment. But apparently, one of the Democrat put forth hate crime legislation here in Arkansas.
Okay.
So
I'm just trying to figure out something. I mean, this is, I'm totally ignorant when I say this stuff, when I ask the question. So, what's different between the hate crime legislation that the federal government has? I mean, I'm confused.
it only deals with federal
cases?
crimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got you now. So it's not like on the state level.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to introduce hate crime legislation in Arkansas. And how exactly does that look?
Hang on just a moment. Keep talking because I've got this bill here.
Pull the
So
bill up. Okay.
let's see. I believe this is it. All right. So this was published March 2017. Okay. Republicans have until March, and remember the date, March 31st, which marks the end of the 2017 legislative session, to pass House Bill 1986 and Senate Bill, 774 and House Bill 1894 before these proposals are tabled for the year. SB 774, known as the Arkansas Physical Privacy Safety Act, is similar to the same bill in North Carolina, according to this article. Okay. Let's see. It doesn't. The bill has been opposed. Listen. Okay. The bill has been opposed by the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Who?
That bill has been opposed. SB 774 was opposed by the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau, which has warned that legalizing discrimination could trigger massive economic backlash in the state. Okay.
Legalizing discrimination.
I don't.
Now hold on. You know that that's the city. So if they disagree with it, that's the city. That's a city entity.
Okay, so
not even quasi. They're funded by the city.
Let's see. Zachary Miller, who sat on the Arkansas Board of Transgender Equality Coalition, claimed that this law could be applied in ways that are extremely harmful to transgender people. Okay. That bill would be a huge impact on the entire trans community. So the bottom line is that they had an opportunity to pass hate crime legislation in 2017, and they turned their backs on it. So now all of a sudden, Asa Hutchinson want to come out and claim that, he's so concerned about hate crimes, when Arkansas was one of 4 states, according to the article. Apparently North Carolina was one of the others. I'm pretty sure Mississippi or Louisiana or Alabama.
Louisiana has it.
Is one of them. So I have a spreadsheet. This was released.
South Carolina doesn't have it. I don't see them in here.
Let's see.
South Carolina doesn't have hate legislation. South Carolina doesn't. Arkansas doesn't.
So, according to, now these are state by state hate crime laws. Okay.
Right.
Now, one of them is to deal with interference with with worship, race, religion, or ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, political affiliation, which is ridiculous, and age. Okay? So when I go down this list, Arkansas, they criminalize interference with religious worship. Penalty enhancements for hate crimes for race, religion, and ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender equity, disability, even political affiliation and age. They have no laws for it. So there you go. They have none whatsoever. Now, many of these others hit the box as well, but the bottom line is, and we're focusing, and this list was published by the NAACP, by the way.
I think you should get a guy some kudos, man. I mean, he's in his last term. He ain't really got to do some crap like this. And for him to do it,
I'm not giving him nothing.
You got to be fair, bro. You got to be fair.
I'm going to be fair when he's fair. He hasn't been fair up until this point. So why you want to try to be fair now?
Well,
sorry, I'm not giving a racist credit for doing something that he's already should have done a long time ago.
Well,
I'm done with that.
I will say
period.
This. I will say this in his defense, though, because he has when his whole party had turned against when his whole party had pretty much turned against the Affordable Care Act, he said, "Hey, we can't scrap it." I mean, he actually fought for it. I give him that one, and he even had a conversation around. I disappointed. He had the conversation around justice reform. I disagreed on how he addressed some of the things within the city and the state about how he looked at crime. But I mean, at least
don't let him slide on the school system either. By the way,
well, the school thing, of course, right.
So that's robbing Peter to pay Paul, or what that's called throwing a rock and hiding your hand.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have that though. You're gonna have that. Come on, man. But like I said, Tucker Carlson said this is all fake. This is all hoax, man. Everything you're talking about today is a hoax, Dave. Ain't none of this real.
Ain't none of it
Ain't
real,
none of
huh?
it real, Dave.
Well, are those people?
Your ancestors were never slaves. Those were just a hoax. Those pictures were made. They were doctored and made up. The Holocaust never happened. Dave, there's no such thing as racism. That's all a hoax.
Yeah.
Democrats are just trying to create this thing called racism so that they can win back the House and Senate and the White House. Dave, why are you buying into this nonsense?
You got your good dose of Fox News last night, huh?
I'm gonna tell you something. When I heard Tucker Carlson say that, man, I sat there for a minute like, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, you did.
I had to rewind it and look at it again. He did say that, man.
He did.
He said that. He said it. That ain't none of that real.
And that's what's see therein lies the problem, is that kind of lies, they are full of Fox News. And in fact, Fox News now, I even heard some of the other media calling them now Trump TV. That's all they are now.
Well,
they don't. The only person that really tries to get facts out, because he's tried to do facts. That's where he based his career on. It's not Mike Wallace, but one of the guys in the it's two of them.
yeah.
And I'm sorry I forget their names, but other than them two,
Right.
and one of the guys that came out, he was gay. So after Trump started beating up on him, I can see his face, but I can't remember his name, because I don't watch Fox News that much anymore. I used to watch. Here was my routine at one point. I would get up on Sunday mornings, and I would go from news show to news show. I believe Fox News was first. Okay. Then it was NBC, then ABC with George Stephanopoulos, and then the last one was CBS. So I would watch all of them. Okay, and I watched how they dogged Juan Williams, how Juan Williams literally lost his credibility by continually. He was supposed to be the voice from the left. Chris Wallace, that's his name. Juan Williams supposed to be the voice from the left, and it seemed like every Sunday he kept slipping further and further into that dark place until they just had wiped him out, so to speak. And
Juan Williams?
Juan Williams. And it came out, one of the announcers.
Juan Williams was an 8-ball on a whole table of cue ball.
Well, you're right. But when he first got to Fox News, he wasn't. He stood out, But then as he continued on Fox News, he started listening to their point of view and wouldn't stand up. I mean, I watched Fox News religiously, not because it was Fox News, but I'm a news person. So as I just told you, I went across all of those channels every Sunday morning, to the point where I could no longer watch Fox, because it was clear that Fox News was doing nothing. But this was even before Trump.
Man, I have to watch Fox. Because when I'm feeling depressed and I want to laugh and I can't write I go to Fox. I'm very serious.
But so many people do now. It's serious. A joke.
Because there are things that I've seen and heard on Fox that I look around and go, I know somebody else heard that. It wasn't just me. I mean, I know, right? Because yesterday, when this man says it was all a hoax, I just said that like, oh man, that was pretty good. But you got to watch The Loudest Voice with the Ernie Els, the Roger Ailes thing. I'm going to tell you what's remarkable about it is that the more I watch it, what I'm starting to learn is how uneducated people are when it comes to politics, right? Because most of us get our news not from reading, but from watching a TV show.
Right.
And, a lot of people get their news from Trevor Noah on the Daily Show.
Yep.
A lot of people get their politic information from Stephen Colbert doing his opening monologue, right? I mean, so
that's
these
millennials.
are the places, right, where you're getting your news. So if you don't read and you listen to, even if you listen to CNN, you listen to, I will give a little credit to Rachel Maddow. She to me is one of the exceptions.
She's one of the best on TV.
She's
right
one of
now.
the exceptions, but the rest of these guys, everybody has a slant.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, everybody's got a slant.
Mm-hmm.
Fox is slanted toward Republicans.
No, they're not slanted.
Well, Fox,
that is state-run television.
For them, they're slated toward their Republican base.
That is. When was the last time you saw a Democrat on Fox News? It just doesn't happen.
There's no need to have one on there.
That's my point.
Because
at least the others try.
I will say
they will at least have other Republicans on there.
Reality. People in Fox don't. So there's no need to have somebody on there from
I mean, I think Donna Brazile was the closest they had just recently. But the point is, they simply don't have Democrats on that station. No. And they simply, and here's the other thing, and the reason I brought up the fact, because see, I watch Fox News. I watch the evolution of Fox TV. See, people forget when Fox TV first came on, what was their programming?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What is your favorite show from the 90s on Fox?
Now I can't remember on Fox.
Yeah, and when I say it, you're gonna know it.
I can't remember what was on Fox.
In Living Color.
In Living Color, that's right. I forgot about
that. Okay, In Living Color.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember all of those black shows that they had on Fox, and I tell people that's how Fox gained a foothold. Because what you don't understand about the media is that when they talk about Diaries, that's how they judge who watches and who doesn't. So the problem is with Diaries is that black people typically don't fill them out. Okay? Just like censuses. Black people typically will not fill those census tracts out, which is to our detriment in a lot of respect.
Right.
So what they decided to do when it came to the Nielsen ratings is that they would, for the lack of a better argument, so people understand, a white person or a white family who filled out a diary meant 1 point for that show. Or it represented 10,000 people, okay? A black family that filled out the diary, it meant 1.5 or 15,000. And they weighted it that way because black people didn't fill out the Nielsen diaries.
Right.
Okay? So what Fox did was target black people so that they would get those diaries to show that, hey, these are the amount of listeners that we have. Once they got their footing, that's when they flipped on us. I watched it from day one. All of a sudden, they went this far right-wing stuff. Everything was a Democrat problem, yada, yada, yada. You started getting more racist, and then it evolved into what we have today, okay? So when I say Fox News is state-run television, they might as well be the Politburo. Now, some of y'all may not remember them, but this was, or TASS. This was, the Russian media outlet that did nothing but push Russian propaganda. And that's what Fox News is. Now, you're right. I met a young person the other day. He was about 18, and we were talking a little politics. He even admitted, he said, man, I get a lot of my politics from The Daily Show. Yeah. He loved The Daily Show, okay? Yeah. But
Daily Show is entertainment.
It's entertainment, but they do provide some information for you.
Well, I think if you want to, to some degree, we're more entrenched in politics than most people. So
yeah.
It's kind of hard for people to be as entrenched, but it's just that you have to have an alternate source of information.
If it's real information.
Period. I don't ever want anybody to give me their spin on what this is. I want to be able to look at the information. I want to be able to ingest information myself.
But Fox
process the information.
Fox doesn't give you any information.
They don't. They
don't.
The great thing about Fox is Fox only tells you what they think you want to hear. They're not telling you. They're not giving you news. They're just
they're
really
the Politburo.
Yeah, they're really affirming what you already believe.
They're the Politburo.
Yeah. Slavery never existed. You're right. Slavery never existed.
They're the Politburo. That's exactly what they are. They are a state-run news organization. And it's shocking that so many people Because see, at the end of the day, you can't fuss about other news outlets not giving you facts when you don't want to hear facts.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
People who tune in to Fox, they don't want to hear facts.
No, because God, I'm trying to think. I'm going to pull up this article. I think it was done by one of the news agencies that tracks this stuff, and I want to say that they said the information on Fox News, either 60 or 70% of the information that they put out is a lie. That's shocking.
Well, I mean, think about it. Think about it. When you have conversations with people who are Republicans, who are openly and honestly Republicans, they'll say that Obama doesn't have a birth certificate. He's not from America. He's a Muslim, right? Well, that being the case, then you got to remember where that came from. That was birth. That was mixed up, cooked, and baked by Fox News.
Yes, it was.
And so whenever we start talking about issues, anything, if somebody says something to me like Obama's not American, he's a Muslim, me and them, we stop our conversation right there because there's nothing else we can talk about. Mm-hmm. Because again, they're not in reality. They're in somebody's reality. It's just not theirs.
Oh, they're in a whole new world, and that's where you have to be careful when it comes to Fox News. Which, like I say, I'll be honest with you. You know, I'm a talk show radio host. Okay.
And so did you know that?
Okay.
Go ahead, man.
All right.
Stop.
I've been in this business a long time.
Okay.
I was talking to a guy the other day. We were talking about money issues.
Okay.
And he was talking about Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is the guy he was one of the first to do a national radio show as it relates to how to fix your credit, save your money, so on and so forth.
Okay, gotcha.
He's out of Nashville.
Okay.
Long before he went national, I would listen to him. Long before Rush Limbaugh fell off the cliff, I'd listen to Rush Limbaugh. In fact, oftentimes, because I did talk radio, all I listened to was talk radio.
Yeah.
So I listened to a lot of talk radio early on, and right-wing talk radio.
Yeah,
and the reason I did that was because I was learning the trade. Right. I wanted to, in fact, Mark Davis, who is now in Dallas, I produced his show in Memphis. Okay. I was learning the trade.
Right. So you didn't want to get both sides of the argument. You just wanted to.
I was learning the trade. Okay. Now, when I was at WHBQ in Memphis, we had both sides. This was before radio got fragmented. We had a liberal, we had a conservative, we had a right winger, we had a left winger, we had a middle of the road, we had a black guy, we had a woman. All of those did a show every day on WHBQ. It was groundbreaking. And then soon after, the station was sold, then you started segmenting and what happened in the business is that the right wingers and the Republicans, they didn't throw AM radio away, okay? But the liberals did. They felt like there would be no more use for AM radio, but what they did, the right wingers, they came and said, okay, we're going to use these airways for our benefit.
Right.
Rush Limbaugh started off on AM radio.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Many of these right-wing talk show hosts started off on AM radio. You got to realize this was long before Sirius Radio and satellite radio.
But again, like I said, this whole migration toward no news, it's been coming for a minute, and now we're here. I mean, and we're in full swing. I mean, we're right here and we're ready to rock and roll. My biggest question is that when the 2020 election comes, do you think it'll have an impact?
Who?
Fox News.
You talking about the Russians?
Hey, Tucker Carlson said the Russians are a hoax. That never happened.
Okay.
That never happened, Dave.
Tucker Carlson is
a hack. He said
a
it was
hack.
a hoax. There was an investigation done.
He's a hack.
There was no information provided that didn't happen.
He's a hack.
I mean, honestly, I think at some point you could, if you're on Fox, you could say, hey, JFK was never assassinated. he committed suicide in Dallas. And guess what would happen?
People would believe.
People would be going around saying, JFK never killed himself. He committed suicide. I mean, because, man, this is crazy. We're at a really scary point. We're at a really scary point in America.
Shepard Smith is the other one that tries to get some things out on Fox News.
Okay.
You know, that tries to do real news.
Well, you don't have a lot of guys on there who try to do real news, but what I love about those other guys, I love Hannity. By far, Hannity's probably the funniest to me. Because I wonder if he ever goes home and his parents look at him and go, baby, who are you? You know? I mean, it's been a couple of times. My mom has actually said to me, where did you get that? Because, I mean, you know, sometimes, man, you get out there, right? And that's why when my mom is listening to the show and I get a phone call, I know it's not going to be a good conversation.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? I mean, seriously. So I wonder how their parents react when they do these shows, and their family has to be sitting at home saying, who is he?
But, you know, they don't care because they're making money.
We make that, well, you said they don't care. Well, I mean, man, think about it, man. If I was making $8 million a year, I'd probably hate black folk too.
Exactly. And that's the whole point about, and you just said something very profound there, Robert. You don't do that often, but when you do, you drop it like a ton of bricks. If you're making that kind of money, you do it too.
Yeah, man.
And it just goes to show you that they are selling bigotry and racism. That's what they do. That's what they live by every day. They cash their checks based on bigotry and racism. One other point that you skipped about Fox News is the fact that it was Fox News who was fanning the front flames of the Tea Party. Long before if it wasn't for Fox News fanning those flames, I would argue that the Tea Party would never exist today.
There are some things, I'm going to tell you this, man. It's only a couple of shows I can watch, and it makes me think that there are no black people in America. Fox is one of them. I could watch that show, and it makes me think there are no black people in America.
Well,
it's only white.
Well, they had that one.
Blacks.
Do you ever see when the big black guy's on there? He talks like this.
Nah, man, come on. Cut me some slack. Let's not have this conversation.
He's black.
Let's not have this conversation.
Hi, Robert. Thanks for tuning in to Fox News.
Let's not have this conversation. And you know what? I ain't gonna fault the brother for making his money, but at some point, bruh, you gotta look at some folks and go, you know I'm black, right? I mean, if I did that show, I don't know how long I could do it, man. I don't know how long I could cash my check.
Well, the question is,
because at some point I have to say to them, you know I'm black, right?
But what is the difference in what he is doing as opposed to black politicians, black business owners, black preachers, all of them selling out for the dollar bill? What's the difference?
Well, I learned something last week, and I'm gonna share it here now. They're not selling out. What they're doing is they are trying to change the system from within. They're trying to change the system from within.
You know what you know what that reminded me of?
What?
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, yeah, man. So let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you why you can't change the system from within. So when I first got into this, man, when I was like my most militant, I was on the Promise Initiative advisory board or whatever board I was on, and I remember being in a room. It was Senator Joyce Elliott, it was Director Karen Richardson, Matt Stoller. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, there was a ton of folks in this room, man. I mean, you know, and they were saying things, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, that's kind of stupid, right? And I started to say something, but I didn't. I didn't say a word. I just sit there and listen to them, let them say all this stuff. I didn't say a word, right? And I remember I probably did that for like a month. I didn't say nothing. I just sit in the room, man, because I was like, you know, I don't want to say nothing in this room, and these people be looking at me all crazy. And I remember I was talking to somebody, and somebody said, Rob, the reason you're at the table is so you can identify those things that they miss.
There you go.
And I was like, nah, man, I'm trying to change the system from within. He said, you can't change the system if you're trying to stay. You can't change the system if you're trying to stay in the system. And I was like, I don't understand that. He said, if you're not going to say anything, pretty soon you're going to become part of the system. And I was like, oh. Ooh. So I started saying stuff, but man, the point I'm making here is that anybody who says they're going to change the system from within, you can't do it because once you get inside the system, you start to see the benefits of that system. And once you see the benefits of the system, you conform to it. So black folks who say, I'm radical, nah, you ain't radical. Because once you get inside that system, you're going to conform because you start to see the benefits of being inside the system. You get it?
It's called dead presidents.
That's it, baby. You see the benefits of being inside the system.
So I looked up this graphic, and I get a lot from Business Insider. And this particular article was published, and let me go back.
Okay.
June 21st, 2018. And I'm gonna give you a list of all the news outlets that they measured. Okay, PBS, AP, NPR, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, CBS News, ABC News, Washington Post, NBC News, the New York Times, Vox, Mother Jones, CNN, Huffington Post, MSNBC, Breitbart, and Fox. Okay, now let's play a little game, Robert.
Okay.
Who's number one on that list?
Fox.
As far as the best?
Fox, probably. Because they're gauging the best by what? Viewership?
This is dealing with facts. Okay.
Probably MSNBC.
Okay, in other words, it's called Net Bias Scores of News Organizations by U.S. Adults. So the biasness.
Okay,
Okay, so this isn't even dealing with credibility. This is just bias. Okay, who's number one as far as the least bias? Which is not a surprise to me.
Least bias?
Yeah.
Shit, really? Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say CNN.
No.
MSNBC?
No. Those two you named.
Oh, C-SPAN?
No, C-SPAN is not a news outlet.
Oh, yeah, you said news outlets. I can't think of one.
So the two that you named, CNN had a negative 27. MSNBC had a negative 37. The one that's the best, the least unbiased, well, I shouldn't say least unbiased. The most unbiased station is PBS News, which is not a surprise. Because I used to watch that too. I was a news junkie. I watched every news show when I was at home. I knew what time they came on. I was just, AP is number 2 as the least biased. AP, Associated Press. Okay, which is not a surprise. NPR is number 3. They have a positive 12. By the way, AP positive 23. PBS a positive 31. The Wall Street Journal, which I don't agree with this. The Wall Street Journal is very biased. But it has a positive 10. USA Today.
Who are they biased toward?
They're biased toward probably, as far as I'm concerned, big business.
Exactly. They're the Wall Street Journal. What would they be?
So, USA Today has a positive 5. CBS, another 5. And ABC News, a positive 4. Now you begin to get into, and I find this interesting because these are the news outlets that Donald Trump has criticized. Okay,
yeah.
So
yeah, the ones that give you news.
The Washington Post, which gives you great news, and so does CBS and ABC. I watch them. Washington Post and NBC News is negative 7. The New York Times is negative 11. Vox, which I get a lot of news from them, they're negative 12. Mother Jones is negative 22. CNN is a negative 27. The Huffington Post is a negative 32. MSNBC, negative 37. Breitbart News, which is a right-wing news outlet, which is where Steve Bannon came from. They and Fox News are a negative 51.
Negative 51. That's depressing.
That's just biased. Okay? So if they're that says right there that over half of the stuff they do is biased.
Yeah, but I mean that's most news outlets.
Well, not according to this chart.
Yeah, but if you watch them, I mean, you know CNN. I can't talk today. CNN,
Could have brought me a shot.
MSNBC. I go with you watch this show.
Oh, thank you.
And everybody else, man, they are slanted. It's obvious they're slanted. We both will agree that they're slanted. My thing is, I don't really depend on them for my news. I read my news. And I read my news from several different sources. I just don't read it from one. But man, we got to talk about the election yesterday. I forgot about
Yeah, we will here in a moment. So what you said is important, and this is what I've been trying to get people to understand on Facebook. Don't just go out and read a story and the headline looks good and you post it or you repost it. That's part of the problem. You asked earlier, Robert, well, what's going to happen with news? Where are we going to be getting our news from in the future? Well, we're going to be getting our news from, I hate to say it, people like Russ Raycott. That's not a slap against the Russ Raycott, but you're going to have frontline reporting from regular citizens. When a person posts a picture of or a video of a cop beating up a citizen, that's frontline news.
Right.
That's on the site news.
Right.
This is a new era in which we reside. So it's going to be it's important for you all. When I post a story, first of all, I read that story. Next, I look at the dateline. Okay? If the story is relevant, then I repost it. But even before I do that, if it seems so outlandish, the first thing I do is I take that headline and I put it in Google and see if it comes up somewhere else. So if it comes up at 3 different outlets, it's kind of like what they tell you in journalism. You have to have 3 sources. You cannot write a story unless you have 3 sources. Don't turn it into the editor unless you have 3 sources. In fact, I know people who have been fired because they didn't 3 source their stories. Right. So what I'm trying to get people to understand is that when you see these stories on the internet, well, regardless of what outlet it is, even if you're sitting there listening, research some of that stuff. You have it at your fingertips now. You didn't have to. You used to didn't have that. You now have it at your fingertips where you can fact check. Look, it's kind of like betting. Talking about statistics.
Right.
You ever had an argument about a sports figure, a sports icon?
Right.
And one person says one thing, another person says another thing, and then all of a sudden you'll see the other people sitting around with their phones doing this, or one of the people in the argument will say, well, wait a minute, we'll just find out. That's what you got to do about these news articles. Just like you're arguing about a sports contest or a statistic, you need to start vetting your news, because that's how those Russians, like for instance, people will post RT News.
Yeah.
Do you know what RT News is?
No.
It's Russian television news.
Really? Didn't know that. So you just taught me something.
Right. That's what RT News is. Okay? That is backed by Russia. Okay? But a lot of people, and I see people posting that stuff, and I'm like, why are you posting that?
Well, I have this really great app called Flipboard.
I've seen that, yeah.
And so the great thing about Flipboard is I can set it up to get whatever I want. So I can set it up for my monetary policy. I can set it up for banking. I can set it up for real estate. So I get all these great stories.
That's an annoying app to me.
I love that. Why is it annoying?
Because it you may not know it, but it really works your CPU on your phone. I hate apps that hog my CPU, and that app will hog your CPU. But I'm sorry, I just nerded out on you. It's a nerd thing. Yeah. See, if you were a nerd, you'd understand what I'm talking about, and you'd say,
I don't care. Just give it to me. I just want my information, right?
That's when your phone crashes, don't come hollering at me.
I ain't thinking about you. So I get tons of information, and I love the information. So I don't mind. I'll give up something to get the information. But that's my thing. I mean, you have to have credible apps, and I never read, some stories you read them and you go, that doesn't sound right. Mm-hmm. But my thing is, unfortunately, man, I just can't read an article and be done with it. Mm-hmm. I have to Google it because I need to know more about the inner workings and the guts of it. So you just can't tell me that this is good. And I'm gonna go, okay, great, it's good. No, show me the empirical data that says it's good. And show me how it works. Show me I need that, right? To have an intelligent conversation with you. So some people don't have the time, and some people aren't who we are when it comes to politics. And I think that's why they depend on us to give them quality information daily.
Well, so, and that's why, but we have got to become, I can understand that argument, and it's a valid one. But the fallacy in the argument is, 10 years ago, even though we had the internet, we didn't have the access to knowledge. Right. To fact check. Now, just like you have become more knowledgeable in fact checking, because sometimes, what your mama used to say, boy, you ain't got God gave a horse. You ain't got horse sense. Sometimes your knowledge have got to say, that doesn't make, let me look that up. Let me see how, if that makes sense. All I'm saying is that we've got to start fact checking people. Whether you Democrat, Republican, whoever you are, because if we don't the Republicans and Democrats, they operate on an uninformed populace. Okay? The democracy was set up for an informed populace. But because we are not informed as a mass, then we get our rights and privileges taken from us every day because we're not informed.
But Dave, you make these assumptions that black folks know about all this information and all these portals of information, and it's unlike anything else, Dave.
When was the last time you looked at a black person's Facebook page?
When was the last time?
Yeah,
I look at mine every day.
But you ain't black though. You kind of like.
If I ain't black, it ain't nobody in Little Rock. It ain't nobody in America black. But no, the thing is that we always make the assumptions, and I do the same thing, that black folks have access or they understand how these portals work. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it, historically, we have always been behind in everything. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, when I talked to the guy about technology, he was saying kids in my neighborhood right now, they're 10 years behind in technology, right? So if they're 10 years behind in technology now, how do we catch them up? So think about that. If these kids are 10 years behind in technology, then they're 10 years behind in almost everything.
I disagree with that.
How so?
Here's why. I would say they're 10 years behind in access to technology. But I won't say that they're 10 years behind in technology. You know why?
Why is that?
Because every one of them has a PlayStation.
Yeah, but Dave, just because they have a PlayStation, so see, you're talking about two different things.
Listen
right?
to what I'm saying.
You and me are talking about two different things. You're talking about in front of the box. I'm talking about behind the box.
Okay, so
we're talking about two different things.
No, what I'm talking about is you have the technology, you just don't know how to utilize it.
Yeah, that's behind the box.
Okay,
that's behind the box.
So the technology is there because, like, when I go out and talk to boys, when I would do my rites of passage, and I tell them, don't tell me you can't do computers, because if I brought a video game in here, left it to you, and it was brand new, in an hour you'd have it beaten. And every one of those boys in that particular class raised their hand and started laughing. You're right, Mr. Coleman, I would.
Yeah, but you can't make one of those boxes.
Okay,
that's
I agree.
Behind the box.
I agree with that.
You're talking apples and oranges.
No, we're not. We're actually talking the same thing.
All right, go ahead.
Because here's my point: is we haven't decided to look at how, when you hit that button, how that man moves his left arm, or how that running back jumps. We are just now beginning to do that. Because, again, what do we do with our children? We use those types of devices to babysit as opposed to teach them how to fix it. And I'm saying that from a computer technology standpoint, a former salesperson in computers, and computer repair. It was fascinating to me to sit on that floor at Dell and how white women would come up and want to be a technician, but black women would not. We when they first started hiring, had a lot of sisters, but as time went on, them sisters started falling off. Mm-hmm. They started quitting. I don't want to do this anymore. Those white girls, they stayed and what their argument is, I want to learn technology. So what I'm saying to you, the access is there now. It hadn't always been there. It's there now, so what we have to do, although we got to play some catch up, but if you notice when Jemiah them was here,
right,
it took me 3 days to teach Jemiah how to run this.
Yeah.
When I came in here, and Jemiah's only 17, and she's a female.
Right.
Okay? It took me 3 days when I told her and got to the point. I said, well,
Clayton? How long did it take you to teach Clayton?
Took him a little longer.
Okay.
In fact, Jemiah was teaching him.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's about, because at first, and not to be critical of him, but I don't think he saw the benefit of it. But Jemiah told me, she said, well, I used to edit back when I was 12 and 13 years old.
Yeah, so she gets it.
You see,
She already has some. She already has some knowledge.
she has some knowledge of it.
Made
but
the transition for her a lot
but you know,
easier.
you know what I, you know,
But you
hang
know
on, hang
that-
on. You know what I asked Clayton? I said, "You play PlayStation?" He could. Yeah, I'm about to get 20. Madden. 2K20. He plays all those games.
Yeah,
I asked Jeremiah.
There's a difference.
I asked Jeremiah, "Do you play games?" No, I don't play those games.
Yeah, but there's a difference though. She had first off, she had background. So giving her having background gives her a learning curve over Clayton, right?
Right.
Now, just imagine there are kids in our community who are like Clayton. It takes them longer to get it, and therefore, because it takes them longer, they're more likely they're going to lose interest. And so, those are the things I'm talking about when I say when they're behind in technology, because we have, I think, in most communities and most urban communities, we haven't even scratched the surface of what technology can do, because we aren't there financially. Because at the very economics determines everything, and why it's easy for me and you to sit here and say things like that, because we have the economic resources, or at least the knowledge about getting whatever it is we need. Those kids don't, however.
Yeah, but I understand your argument, but I disagree with it. Here's why.
Okay.
Because every one of them have a cell phone.
But again, we're still talking apples and oranges. Yeah, you got a cell phone, but you don't know how to program it. You got a cell phone, but
yeah,
you don't
they
know
do.
code.
You don't know how to actually write the code.
You don't know how to write the
but
code.
they know how to. Ask the average kid out there on the street, 15, 16.
Yeah, you can program your cell phone, but you
Right.
can't write code for a cell phone.
Right. So where is the disconnect from being able to program the phone as opposed to being able to figure out how it
Economics,
works?
man. It's economics and knowledge.
But see, Robert.
Exposure.
But see, Robert.
No, you just made the great point. I can't think of a name now. Jesus.
Jemiah.
Jemiah had some experience. Therefore, it made the transition for her a lot easier. However, Clayton had no experience other than video games, and after a while, he just lost interest.
So
you get that, right?
I understand
and that happens all the time in public schools.
Yeah, but see, here's why I disagree with you.
Okay.
Is because just like if you really want to learn, I tell everybody this now. If you really want to learn, there's nothing that precludes you from learning now. Your teacher doesn't. Your guidance counselor doesn't. No one precludes you from learning now. You know why? It's because of the internet.
I get that.
Nothing. So when you
make the assumption that everybody has access to the internet, Dave.
Okay, what you say? What would you argue that when you see some of these kids, and I've seen a lot of them. You work with a lot of inner city kids. How many of them have phones? Would you say half, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10?
So who are you talking about? Because see, it depends on what kind of kids you're talking about. Because you got again, we're talking about.
I'm talking about the average kid you work with.
You're talking about middle to.
I'm talking about the average kid you work with.
None of the kids I work with have phones. Their parents have phones. Honestly, none of the boys I work with have phones.
Now, well, let's limit the age group because obviously, my thing was, if you're 12 years old, you don't deserve you don't need a cell phone.
Most of my kids are from what? I work with some 12 to 15.
But let's say teens, they don't have phones.
No.
Most teens I've worked with, they have phones.
No.
They have phones.
No.
You know.
But that's my point, Dave. We're talking about two different sets of kids here. You're probably talking about mid.
No.
You're probably talking about mid to low income kids. I'm talking about low income kids. There's a significant difference.
Well, I agree there's a significant difference. I'm simply saying is that there is access now. If you really wanted to learn how to code, you don't really have to go to class to code, right?
Dave, Dave, let me take you back. I need to walk you back. Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess it was 3 weeks ago. So I'm looking at American Fact Finder, and I realized that 85%. What was it? 85? No, I'm sorry. 62% of the people who lived in my census tract did not have access to internet. Mm-hmm. You get that, right? 62% of them did not have access to the internet. Mm-hmm. All right?
As a matter of fact, your governor he wants legislation passed that will allow a $25 million grant. It's not just kids in the inner city, but that will allow a $25 million grant so that they could get better high-speed internet in rural areas of Arkansas. So yeah, I understand that.
But
yeah.
there is a problem, and kids in rural areas and urban communities, if they don't have access to internet, they are really behind.
I would agree with that.
And so that's my point to you. Yeah, those kids don't have the opportunities to do some of the things that we're talking about now. They don't have access. They don't understand coding. They don't understand. How a cell phone actually works and what went into making a cell phone work. I mean, those things are challenging for kids from the inner city.
Well, it's that may be true, but I would argue that even the ones who have access don't do their due diligence. They just don't.
I think the ones that have access spend a fair amount of time surfing and learning different things.
Surfing.
I think that, yeah, surfing the web.
Right. So my point being is, and I've said this over and over again, I mean, when we were at Dell, when you'd call in a Dell and you'd call up for troubleshooting? I don't know if you ever had a Dell computer and had to call. But you'd call up and they ask you a question. You may, as a technician, may not know the question. You know where we found the answer?
On the computer, right?
We Googled it. In fact, Dell spent millions of dollars creating a database of answers.
And you just Googled it.
And we just Googled it. In fact, it got so bad.
Dell should have fought all y'all.
They started demanding that we use, well, let's put it this way. If we had to dispatch a tool, a replacement part, that means send it out to a customer or have it replaced, we had to go through the Dell tool
to make it happen.
In order to get the dispatch, which would generate a number. So it took us an extra 15 minutes in some cases to go through the tool when we only Googled it and figured out what the problem was in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So my point in bringing that up is that anything you want to learn, the key is wanting to learn. Okay?
I disagree with that one too, Dave.
What person doesn't want to learn?
Exactly. So
that's what I'm saying.
You have to want to learn.
That's the key. That's what I just said. What person doesn't want to learn?
I believe every human craves knowledge. I believe that in some form, fashion, every human craves knowledge.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe at some point, some kids and even adults just give up on the process because of the challenges they face. I really believe that.
I can agree with that.
I really believe that. So I believe everybody wants to learn. Like you said, I believe everybody wants to learn. I don't believe you have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to learn, Dave. It's not like you just do it automatically, right? You have to learn how to learn. And that's not always taught to people. People are not always taught the process of whatever it is they're trying to do. Because with everything, there's a process. Everything has a process.
I'll agree with that. I'll stipulate that to you, Mr. Webb. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. We got to take the top of the hour break. When we come back, we'd like to hear your comments. We got a lot of people online. Teresa Phillips, Rizal is online. Look at there. There's Ryan Webb. That name sounds familiar. And Tanja Ashford. Hey, Tanja, how you doing? We got people listening from all over the country. Nashville, California, Little Rock. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll be back in a moment. It's Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
And attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered
when we come back,
for our clients. If you
let's talk about the election results.
Or have property wrongfully damaged,
I definitely want to bring that up.
Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of a life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in
Tucker Carlson. What a hack. I used to give him some credibility. He ain't nothing but a hack now, man. My God.
Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
LeBron James is the greatest player we've seen this generation. You have to be careful when you start saying, and so he wasn't as good as Mike, or he wasn't as good as Magic. Every generation you get that. You begin to sound like that old man that lives down the street, and every time you walk on his yard, or you even walk by his yard, he's on the porch, and he's got that little purple finger, he's like, get off my lawn! Get off my lawn! Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoinNetRadio.com. Get off my lawn!
All right, welcome back to the show. Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. Tell you what, we did have an election last night. It came and went in a whimper.
It did.
It really did. And the Democratic primary results for the special election for District 36, Denise Ennett got 32% of the vote, and Darrell Stevens got 30% of the vote. There's a runoff that's going to have to happen between Ennett and Stevens on September 3rd.
Yeah.
So, how does that make you feel, Robert?
No, Dave, how does it make you feel, Dave?
Blah.
Blah. Yeah, it has some. They actually had some. They actually had some candidates in the race. They had Russell Williams III, Roger Tyler, Philip Hood, Denise Ennett, and Darrell Stevens. So I thought it would be. I thought it would come down to Darrell Stevens and Philip Hood, but Denise was able to raise the money with the help of the downtown folks, and she raised the money. She got her message out, and so yeah. We'll see what happens in the runoff.
Yeah, because there are a lot of her signs around this area.
Yeah, there are.
Whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Whole lot of them.
Yeah, yeah, they are, Dave.
Whole lot of them.
There are, Dave. There are.
Whole lot of them.
There
Did I
are,
say
Dave.
there are a lot of her signs in the Quapaw area.
Yeah.
Whole lot of them.
Well, what are you trying to insinuate?
It ain't many black folks that live in the Quapaw area.
Well, she didn't do. I mean, she had some votes in black precincts, but she didn't.
I'm sure she did.
Overwhelmingly, she didn't do well in the black precincts.
Is there any underlying message that we could read from the fact that she had all those signs, the majority of them in the Quapaw area, the downtown area?
Well, there's a downtown neighborhood association, and she's a part of that.
Why? She have a business down there?
No, she lives in Petaway. She lives back down off of Main.
Down Past,
down by Petaway Park.
okay, down past St. Mark's. St. John's, I mean.
Not that far. She's actually north of St. John.
24th?
21st. I think 21st to 24th. I'm not
21st
exactly
to
sure, yeah.
24th. Okay.
So she lives around Petaway Park. So
But does she have a business?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, the Downtown Neighborhood Association is a neighborhood association for downtown.
Oh, okay.
And I guess technically she lives downtown, but she was a past president of Downtown Neighborhood Association.
Mm-hmm. She black?
Yeah, she's black.
And she was, you said, what was her position?
She was no, she wasn't president. I think she was the vice president of
Vice
Downtown
president.
Neighborhood Association. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Dave, what are you insinuating, my friend?
I'm just asking questions. I'm gathering facts.
I know Denise and her husband. Good people. Good people. You know how I am. I'm the same way about everybody. I don't think that either her or Daryl, have done their homework to be the best. Elected official they can be, but because of other things, I think Daryl is the candidate to support. It's just me.
Is she going to, if okay, between the two of them, I don't know either one of them.
Okay.
All right. But I'm using your philosophy.
Okay.
And I'd like to know what these people were doing prior to them running for these offices.
She was active in a lot of neighborhood association stuff. She's been active on a lot of boards. Dave, I'm thinking about you now. Daryl has been really active in the community. He's worked with us on some stuff. He was the second vice president. He was the president of the Arkansas Democratic Black Caucus when I was the second vice. Mm-hmm. We worked together on several issues in the community. No, I should say several, probably 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he does a great barbecue. Daryl's big thing is really feeding the homeless, and he has a passion for veterans, and he has a particular passion for people with disabilities. And so those are the things that he's done. Even that's what his work is around. I don't know. It's hard for me. I like Denise, and again, what I'm saying about Denise, I'm saying the same thing about Daryl. I don't think that they've done the work to go in day one and get things done, right? But if I had to pick somebody, I would definitely pick Daryl. Mm. That's it. I mean, that's...
Because he's a man, you don't like women?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with him being a man.
You don't like women?
It's just that...
You don't like women?
No, it has nothing to do with that either.
You don't like women?
It's just that I believe... No, I love women. It's just that I believe that on the important issues, I believe Daryl will fight for those issues.
Well, see, I got to figure out who I want to vote for now because I was behind Roderick Taylor.
Why are you behind Roderick Taylor?
I was behind Roderick Taylor because he is the only one who has proven that he'll fight for the community.
How has he proven that?
Well, when he got damn near blown up with that no-knock warrant.
That was fighting for him. That wasn't fighting for the community.
No, this is what I'm saying. You asked me a question.
Okay.
He could have very well, once he got his issue resolved, taken his ball and go home. He didn't do that. He sought out other people who had been subjugated to that same abuse and civil rights violation, banded together with them, even taught them how to beat their case. And I believe to this day, at least 5 of those people were able to beat their cases because of civil rights violations. To me, now, and what impressed me about it, and I can say this from a person who has litigated pro se, it's not easy to do. I was litigating pro se for myself. Not only did he do it for himself, he did it for other people, and they beat their cases.
Okay.
To me, that's the type of person. Well, it's water on the bridge now because he didn't make the runoff situation. But to me, feeding the homeless is nice. All that superfluous stuff is okay. But someone who is willing to sacrifice his own self for others, that's what I saw in Roderick Taylor. Now, was he unpolished? Of course he was. Was he a little immature? Of course he was. But to me, his heart was in the right place. And we need people who are willing to go up there and fight. And I don't know. I've met Daryl a couple of times. I can't say I know him personally. Since I've been back in this community, and I'm pretty active in this community, I've never heard of Daryl Stevens doing anything. With that being said, I've never even heard of Denise Ennett. I've at least seen Daryl at events. I've seen him at black events. I know him. I don't see Denise.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I follow you.
So that's my concern right now. And then when you tell me that one of the candidates is supported by the Downtown Merchants Association,
No, the downtown neighborhood.
Neighborhood Association, and I tool around downtown a lot, okay? I'm in this area all the time. That little banner with the Arkansas and in it on it, yeah, I know exactly what it looks like. It's all over these houses that are ran by white folks. Now, me personally, when a lot of white folks is backing a black candidate, I kind of get cross-eyed a little bit, because that's rare. That doesn't happen unless there's an agenda. I don't know that to be the case at all. I don't know Miss Ennan. In fact, I'm going to invite both of them on the show. Okay? But I'm a little concerned that we're going to get a black face from a white place. That's all I'm concerned about. I don't know that to be sure. I don't know. But I'm speaking from my heart here. Look, there's a movement going on to elect women and elect black folks. Are we properly vetting those women? Or are we just saying, oh, she's a woman, let's get her in there?
I think our concern should be, so I'm always talking about electing people who are knowledgeable.
Right.
And in this race, here I am saying support Daryl because he's the lesser of two evils. And that's not, yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm saying. No, but honestly, because they.
I'm sorry, I just had a spasm.
My point is, they both knowledge level. I think they're both about on par, right? They're both about on par knowledge level. I'm trying to think. I can't. I just think, in my opinion, Daryl will at least try to fight for the things that are important. I think. I don't know that to be a fact, but I want to believe because of what I've done with him in the past that he will.
So you know both of these candidates,
I know both
right?
of them.
All right. So based on
I know Daryl better than I know Denise. I know Denise's husband. We've had dinner before. Like I said though, just for me though. It's just my opinion.
All right, so let's not use your opinion. Let's try to give an unvarnished and unbiased conversation about this. Based on because like I said, I barely know Daryl, and I know nothing about Denise. And here I'm calling them by their first name as if I do. Just based on your knowledge of Little Rock and your interactions with them, does it concern you that so many white people are backing Denise? In a district that is predominantly black?
It does, always. It always bothers me when a lot of white people support anybody black. It bothers me always.
Okay. I thought I was losing you there for a minute, brother.
What are you talking about?
Welcome back.
No, but I'm not.
Welcome back, Robert. Oh.
There are a lot of black candidates who have a lot of
white support.
But the thing.
But this seems inorganic to me.
Well, I can't say that. Let me tell you.
I'm just saying me. I'm just saying me.
I know, but let me tell you why I can't say that. Because she's been a part of that Downtown Neighborhood Association, right? And
if this person, Denise Ennett, gets in office, do you think she will fight hard for black issues?
I don't know, because I can't say that.
Okay.
I haven't seen her fight for
If Daryl Stevens gets in office, do you think he will fight hard for black issues?
I think he will. Yeah, without a doubt. But again, hold on. I have a greater relationship, a closer relationship with Daryl than I do Denise, and I'm giving. Okay, so I'm honestly not giving a fair and unbiased opinion on this.
Okay, I understand
And
that.
the reason why is because I don't have the same level of. I
All right.
don't have the same relationship.
All right,
or
let's
same
let's try
connection with
let's try to
Denise.
remove the relationship issue.
Okay.
All right. Just based on what you know about those two individuals and what they've done for said communities, which is better?
Daryl. I just think Daryl would be better just because I just think he'd do a better job fighting for the issues that are important to black folks. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Well, we're gonna have to go out
And
and
like I
vote
said,
again.
the reason I know that is because I have a greater relationship with him than I do Denise. I don't know Denise as well. Right?
Well, it just concerns me that anytime you get so many white people backing you,
Yeah.
there's something going on.
I think sometimes
I'm
that could be a blessing and a curse. And I think the blessing is that white people understand the importance of supporting campaigns financially. And you can tell that by the money she raised. She raised $30,000. So you can tell that by the money she raised. But the unfortunate thing about having that money is that there are also things that come with receiving those benefits. Right? I mean, we want you to, do our bidding. And
There's a reason why she raised
that's important.
$30,000, and I'd be curious to see what her campaign finance list looks like.
yeah, she actually took a class. One of these classes is trying to get women to get out and vote, or try to get women to run for office. She actually joined one of those classes. So I think part of the reason she was able to raise such a substantial amount of money was because she attended that class. I think that's part of it.
Well, she utilized her being a woman. So what she's doing,
A black woman at that.
well, a black woman in white face.
Jesus. I didn't say that, Dave. I don't know that she's a black woman in white face.
I don't know that either. I'm just simply saying that look, you know politics, I know politics. People give you money because they expect you to do things. The national argument right now is about the NRA. Why has the NRA distributed so much money to Republicans? Because they expect Republicans to do certain things. Yeah. Same thing applies to local elections as well. So $30,000 for that state race in that short period of time is a lot of money to raise. That's a lot of money to raise. That's a lot of money to raise.
I did not say that, Dave.
That's a lot of money to raise in that short period of time. So if that's the case, she has some big wig donors that was dropping dead presidents on her. So the question is, what are they asking for? So we ought to be able to access her campaign finance, her donor list. That's public knowledge. I'd be curious. I would be curious. Now, again, I don't know either one of them. But I don't know, just based on the cursory information that I've learned about her over the last couple of weeks, I don't know that she's going to be best for our community, which is predominantly black.
Well, the one thing I have to give her props for, I have to give her props for this because I'm always talking about it. She still lives in the house that she grew up in. Mm-hmm. I gotta give her props for that. She still lives in her old neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So, and other people I've talked to say she's a real down sister. I don't know her that well. But my thing is, if you are
they will know you by your fruits.
If you are not knowledgeable about the issues of your community, if you are not knowledgeable about the tools that are available to fix them, if you're not knowledgeable about them, if you're not knowledgeable about those things, then it's not that you can't get anything done. You won't get anything done because you don't know how. And hopefully, Senators Chesterfield and Elliott, if she wins, and Senators Vivian Flowers and Representative Fred Love. Who else do we have? John Walker. Hopefully they'll take her under their wing and try to help her, you know, navigate those waters. Maybe. Dave, man, will you stop? Dear God.
You see, I'm reading you, don't you, Robert? I'm reading you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I bet you don't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm reading you, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying. All right. Well, they are real close. I've got to do a little soul searching on who I would vote for this next time around. But I don't know that either one of them will be effective enough to initiate some change in our communities, because all of that. This is predominantly black. This entire, and I'd be curious to know what both of them have done. But so we'll get them on the air. I'll reach out to them.
Pull them in. Let's see what they
and see if we can get them on the air and see where they stand at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, that's it about the elections. The board meeting last night.
Oh man, the board meeting was painful. Should have came, man. You gotta come check those board meetings out. They're painful.
I was eating.
Should have came. No, it was painful. It's painful, man. Last night I told Ken after the board, I told the director what's up the board meeting last night. That board meeting was the equivalent to them walking up in Walmart with their guns and starting to shoot. Because last night it was nothing but a power play. So I know we talked before about Dean's letter. Last night Dean introduced the ordinance. So let me give you some background. So often members who didn't want to have conversation about certain things, they would bring an ordinance the day of the meeting. And everybody would vote for it. It'd be no big deal, right? It would only be a couple of people who would complain about it. I would be one, King would be another, and Director Richardson and Director Hendricks. Nobody else would care, right? Okay. So what you find is that Dean, Gene, Joan,
Doris.
When Brad was there, Doris would do it. When Brad was there, Brad would do it. Just all the other directors would bring things the day of and say, "Hey, we're going to vote for this." Or Bruce would bring something to them the day of. I take that back. I'm lying. Bruce, they would never bring anything. Bruce would always bring something the day of, and they would vote on it, right? Sight unseen. They ain't never seen it before, but they have. They would say, sight unseen, we're going to vote on this, right? Okay, so they've done that. I can count you probably, since I've been going to board meetings, they've done it 20 times, right? So yesterday, they wanted to put something up now and says, hey, we're not going to let this happen. We don't want to just have things just brought before us anymore. We want to be able to talk about it. And I'm sitting there thinking, you ain't never wanted to talk about it before? Why now? Why is it important now to talk about it? Well, the reason it's important now to talk about it is because now you have a black mayor, and when he brings things up, you want to have time to vet it. Because you didn't have that concern before, but now you got the concern. Now, even more problematic is that Lance Hines, he's the director of 5. He asked a question last night. Do we have to bring something before the mayor before we put it on the agenda? Now, that was a very loaded question.
Meaning?
You know the process. If something has to go on the agenda, you can't bring it in. There's a certain timeline. You have to get it in before it goes on the agenda. Well, what he's saying is they want stuff to go on the agenda, but they don't want the mayor to review it. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, this is the equivalent of walking into Walmart with your gun and just opening up fire on whoever. That's it. Now, a lot of people don't want to admit that. A lot of people are going to say that's not what we're doing. But last night, that's exactly how it looked. It looked like white people said, hey, we're losing our control. We got to do something to get it back. And what I hope doesn't happen is I hope the mayor doesn't acquiesce when it comes to PIT. Because what they're doing now is they're setting up a coup for PIT. That's $5.5 million. They're setting up a coup. Now, Of all the money in this city, only $5.5 million is deliberately dedicated to the issues south of 630. $5.5 million. Did y'all hear me? It would have been $6 million, but back in 2009, when the city was having tax problems or having financial issues, they pulled back $500,000 to cover their shortfall, right? And they never put the $500,000 back. Even after they got the sales tax increase, they never put the $500,000 back. So we're at 5.5. All right. So we talk about PIT, and they talk about PIT so much, man. It makes me crazy. And so I want to tell you a little bit about. What all falls under PIT for the city, because if you hear him talk about it, you would think that the only thing that falls under PIT is the YIP programs, and everything else, because that's all they talk about. All they talk about is PIT. That's it. Nothing else. Not one thing do they say about anything else. So let me find this real quick, because I want to tell everybody all the things that fall under PIT.
Well, while you're looking for that, I think it's pretty clear. Well, I've known this all along that this mayor is going to have a problem getting this agenda through. You got a police chief or assistant police chief who's running rampant. You've got at-large board members who made it clear that they don't give a damn about other parts of this city, no matter what you all say. I'm one of those people. I believe in action, so show me.
Oh man, I apologize. Last night, Dean said he had an epiphany. He's been on the board for 20 years, and he just realized they wasn't doing nothing. He had an epiphany last night.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Yeah, you heard me, man.
Whoa,
That's why I meant to start out with that.
Wait a minute. So Dean Kempiris, who's been on a city board member for 20 years. Had an epiphany last night, and it said that he basically said that the board wasn't doing anything. What was the reaction from the other board members?
Nothing. He just sat there.
Nobody.
They understand what's going on.
Does he mean they're not doing anything to stop this new agenda? Was this a loaded statement here? Because hell, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you haven't done anything for this city, especially for the people that matter. Hell, I've only been back 4 years. It took me a day to drive around this city and say, damn, what are the politicians doing in this city? Do they have them?
All right, I want y'all to check this out. So I need you to listen to the names of these programs. These are the programs that are getting money from PIT. All right? Pulaski County Youth Services, ABC Adolescent Center. Our house gets PIT money because they got kids over there. We don't know how many. They never asked, but they got kids, so they get some money. Brandon House, Boys and Girls Club, Mitchell Unit, Life Skills for You, Songbird Performing Arts, City of Fire in Southwest, Pulaski County Youth Services West, Boys and Girls Clubs, Pinnock Unit, ABC Adolescent Center, My Sister's Keeper, Songbird Performance Arts, that's citywide, ABC Adolescents. So these are people who, I'm duplicating these names because they're getting different pots of money. That's why their names are being duplicated, okay? Boys and Girls Club, Thrasher Unit, St. John Unto Others, Better Community Developers, Kingdom Builders, Boys and Girls Club, Wheaton Unit, Bridge to Success, Fab 44 Basketball, Bridge to Success, Songbird Performing Arts, the OK program, and the GEMS program. So if anybody wanted to know, the GEMS program is a girls program they created that mirrors the OK program. Now, these are PIT and YIP sites. The Boys Club, they just got in here a couple of years ago. The Boys Club gets $300,000 per Boys Club. Nobody, is it $300,000? Or either they get 300,000, they get 100,000 per boys club. So they get 100,000 for Thrasher, they get 100,000 for Pinnock, and they get 100,000 for Wheat.
Now, where's Pinnock?
Pinnock on 12th Street.
12th Street. There's a boys club
Yeah,
on 12th
right across
Street.
from University Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and the other one is Thrasher. Now, what was the other one?
Wheaton in Southwest.
So the one in at Lamar Porter doesn't get any?
Billy Mitchell?
Yeah.
No, because it's not. I don't think it's a boys club anymore. I think it's just a baseball court.
Okay.
And plus, they wouldn't qualify anyway. I don't think because this is YIP money.
Okay.
It has to be spent south of 630.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's well. Let me ask you this question: what do you suggest happens
When?
here? I mean, because the bottom line is this, and we've been talking about this a long time. They're going to continue to do what they're doing until people start demanding that they change. That's really the bottom line. And I'm sitting here as I think about that. I'm sitting here thinking about what happened in Puerto Rico. And if those of you who don't know, the people in Puerto Rico, you're right, Jack, it's still a boys club, but I understand the difference. And my good friend Tony Dunnick is running that boys club over there. He was on the show Saturday morning and talked about the difficulties of running that boys club over at Lamar Porter.
When Thrasher.
I know.
Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, at Lamar Porter. And that baseball field, it's kind of ironic, he said, they were struggling with teams. Junior deputy down on Cantrell gets flooded out, and all the white boys start running back to Lamar Porter. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, I digress. Until we as people, just like they did in Puerto Rico, but by the way, you do know Puerto Rico is an American colony, right? They don't have a president of Puerto Rico, Mr. Trump.
Right.
They decided that they had enough of their elected officials, their governor.
Mm-hmm.
And you all know the story. They turned out day after day after day, hundreds of thousands of them every day.
Okay.
They demanded change. In fact, they got change without even voting. Mm-hmm. That's the type of activism that we in our community are going to have to do if we want change.
I don't disagree with you.
And if we're not willing to do those types of things, then I hate to say it, we're going to, look, you just said Dean Kempiris said he had an epiphany after 20 years. Mm-hmm. Boy, that should say a lot. Mm-hmm. That I read into
well,
that.
Not yet, though. Oh, but go ahead.
I read into that statement as profound.
It's very profound.
In a negative way.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
So if you've got a board member, an at-large board member, who has the unmitigated gall to admit in 20 years of him being on that board, because he said we haven't done anything. Man, we need to be at that board meeting demanding that they quit. Mm-hmm. But you know what? We won't. We get what we get. That's the problem. The reason they continue to do what they do is because they know I ain't gonna say anything. Y'all might get riled up for Bradley Blackshire, but you'll disappear. Therein lies the problem. You want change in this city? The people of Little Rock has got to demand change. And if that means going down there and shutting down Broadway every day, then that's what needs to be happening. Look, those people in Puerto Rico did that.
Yeah, but when you start talking about asking for change on a local level, Dave, it's a little different, right? Because if you ask for change on a local level, who do you see bringing that change? Who do you see bringing that change? That becomes a question.
So here's what I would argue, and I hear your point, but we have at least the average age on that board is 68.5 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, at least 3 of them have been on that board over 20 years. Am I not correct?
Just 2 of them now.
Okay, 2 of them now. I'd say at
Big
least
comparison,
and
Joan.
Joan Adcock. So if you drop it back to 15 years, then you get 3. You got 4 of them, right? How long has B.J. Wyrick been on that board?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
That's what I thought.
Forgot about BJ. Yeah, BJ's been there. Those 3 have been there 20 years.
So
at least 20 years.
you got 3 people, at least 3 people that have been on that board for over 20 years. And nothing in this city is changing for the masses. At some point, the masses have got to say, we've had enough. We demand change. And it's more than just going to a board meeting now.
Right.
It's more than that now.
I agree with that.
Okay? Because in that little bitty room, the one thing I loved about Memphis, going to their city board meeting, it was like an auditorium. It was huge.
Right.
You may be able to get 50 people in this boardroom down here.
I think Russ said the number was 84.
84. Okay. You could get close to 200 people in the Memphis city boardroom, board meetings. Okay. In fact, they set up like they were judges. It was that big, but that's neither here nor there. So my point being is that until we are willing to go down and accost that board in a nonviolent way, even if it means shutting down Broadway, where there are thousands of people down there every day demanding they resign, this is going to continue to happen. This is going to continue to happen. This is going to continue to happen because just like they're doing with this gun argument, y'all get frustrated, y'all scream, holler, bitch, and complain, do something, and then it settles down. We've had 257 shootings this year alone.
Yeah.
Okay? We got to do something, and you do nothing. So then, guess what? You know what the Republicans are doing right now? They said, oh, let's just weather the storm. It'll disappear.
Yeah, well, it does. Yeah, it dissipates.
So until we are willing to, just like the people in Puerto Rico said, oh no, Mr. Governor, you got to go. And we're not going back to work. We're not getting out of these streets until you're gone. Because, see, the bottom line is this. When it comes to protests, they can't, if you got 10,000 people showing up for a protest, they can't arrest all 10,000 of them.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you got 10 or 12, like with Rizal them, yeah, they can arrest all of them, get the paddy wagon and take you down to the jail, put the siren on and embarrass you and everything else.
Yeah.
You see? So what I'm trying to get people to understand here, those of you who are listening, is that if you really want change,
Right.
then sometimes it requires, sometimes the ballot ain't going to work for you.
Sometimes you gotta have the bullet, right?
The bullet or the ballot. And this is the proverbial bullet.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And you got to get out there and start be willing to say, hey, look, this ain't working. We know, we have prima facie evidence that the at-large form of government has not served Little Rock well.
The message has been sent to white people and our government here in the city and in the state that black folks will not fight. And that message has been sent.
I agree.
They took over your school district.
You didn't fight.
They took over your neighborhoods. Nothing. They misuse you. Don't spend money on you. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So the message has been sent that black folk don't fight. We won't fight. We won't fight for what's ours. And once that message was sent, I think it became very clear to the powers that be that what we do before we actually screw them over is we put out a test. And we do something really insignificant, kind of symbolic, and we see what the response is. And if we don't get a response from that, if we get a response from the same usual suspects, no big deal. That's expected. Mm-hmm. But if we don't get a response, a significant response, then we'll move on to the next thing. Because there's always a thing before the big thing. And so I think, like I said, we've sent the message that we won't fight back, and we won't fight for what's ours. We won't come out in huge numbers and protest at things that we totally disagree with. I mean, I still don't understand how you can have black men die in this city every day and black mothers are not outraged. Black mothers and fathers are not outraged about black boys dying by the hands of a police officer or by the hands of another black man. how are they not outraged, right? How are they not outraged about the school district that they're all invested in? How are you not outraged about the city you live in that you're all invested in? So they say, well, we know that they're not going to fight. So we're just going to do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it. Now there are some things that are just so outrageous that some black folks wake up and they fight it, but most things they don't.
And to your point, Robert, that's what I got when I got back here.
Yeah.
And here's when I first got back here, the Black Lives Matter thing was breaking.
Okay.
And they had a march downtown. And prior to that march, there were black people, black preachers, who were telling their congregants not to go to that march. And there were black preachers in this city telling their congregation members, not to go and support that Black Lives Matter march. Okay? I went to it. And I was angry because at that point, I coined the phrase, what's wrong with the city of the Little Rock Nine? And the reason that was significant to me was because here we are in a city that literally launched the civil rights era, those 9 black kids, yet this city refuses to embrace it. I remember asking one of the Little Rock Nine when we took pictures over at Central. I said, what do you think about Little Rock Nine now? He says, it looks like all of our efforts have been in vain. You hear what I'm saying? This is straight from one of the Little Rock Nine. So my point in bringing that up is that the reason Little Rock is in the predicament that it's in is not its political leaders. It's grassroots leaders, because we have none. We have none. Okay? And if you're listening to my voice, you can get mad at me all you want. You can turn the show off. You can say, I'll never go on this show. I don't care.
Don't turn the show off.
Okay?
Just get mad at Dave. Don't turn the show off.
I don't care, because at some point, this city is being politically raped.
It's been politically raped.
Okay? I'm going by what I've seen in the last 4 years since I've been here. This city is being politically raped. And you've got people in power who can turn out masses, but you're too busy worrying about other mess as opposed to doing stuff that's going to benefit your people. And then you turn around and want to criticize because black boys are being shot by black boys. Yet you are doing nothing to prevent that. Only thing you're concerned about is making sure you get your grant money. That's it. That's all you're concerned about. Making sure you get enough money for your summer feeding program. That's all you're concerned about. Not understanding that you wouldn't need a summer feeding program if your politicians did what you demanded them to do, and that's take care of their people. You wouldn't need any of that. In fact, all of these shootings and stuff that are going on in our community right now, you wouldn't need any of that, because you know what? You would be demanding from your political leaders, your city board, your state representatives, that this must be stopped. And if you don't stop, we're going to turn our people out in the streets. We're going to shut this city down. But no, you don't want to do that because you're too concerned about your grant money. Come on, folks.
I will tell you something that's really interesting to me. When it comes to
city is dying.
When it comes to picking black leaders, women always tell men, I would go out with you, but you don't have a history of this or that or anything, right? When we pick our elected officials, those are the only ones that we don't ask about that past.
No, we don't.
Work. What kind of work have you done in the community? What kind of person have you been in the community?
Girl, she my Sarah.
She my friend, girl. She my friend.
Yeah, we went out, we kicked it back in the day.
You know what, man? Oh, we went to school together. So what's the platform? I don't know. What she stand for? I don't know. We don't know about any of that.
Who's funding her campaign?
I don't know. And then we wonder why we end up in the situations we end up in, because the people that we are identifying and supporting are usually not the candidate who we should be voting for. Because hey, we get candidates who I have learned in politics, man, you can have a conversation that'll rule a nation, right? And it's not always about trying to get things done. Sometimes just having a conversation, just bringing it up, starts a conversation. People go, is that true? It is. Why does it happen? Oh, it just starts a whole dialogue. Unfortunately, we haven't had that. You ask a question, what do we do? What we do is, first and foremost, we educate ourselves. We have to educate ourselves about what's going on in our community.
Say that again.
We have to educate ourselves.
Educate ourselves.
Educate ourselves about what's going on in our community. And secondly, we have to understand that we have several levels of government in Little Rock, or North Little Rock, or in Jacksonville, or anywhere else in the state of Arkansas. So first you have your local level. On your local level, you have a alderman, a city director, a city council member, whatever they call them. Then you have a county representative. So whatever county you live in, there's a county justice of the peace, right? Then you go one step further, you have a state rep. Those are all your local officials. All three of those are your local officials. And all three of those, if we lived in a perfect world, should be working together in concert for the betterment of your community. However, they are not. The question you have to ask is, why? Why are they not all working collectively together for my benefit? You have to understand how the game works, right? So just imagine if you had a car, and every time you turned the key on, it would start, and all four wheels be going in a different direction. You wouldn't get very far, would you?
Unless you're on a hill.
Even then, you still wouldn't get very far because all four wheels are going in a different direction. You never get anywhere. That's what's happening now in our local government because our local directors don't have a common agenda with our county directors. Our county directors don't have an agenda with our state officials. So none of them are connected under one issue. But guess what? They all live in the very same neighborhoods that we do.
Ain't that something?
So,
ain't that something?
Who'd have thunk it, right? Who'd have thunk it?
Well, they probably talk to each other. Yo, man, who'd you get to fix that garage for you? Oh, you got a good deal on that truck? Who'd you go to? Can you hook me up?
Yeah, but that's what's crazy, though. How are we not having these conversations? How are we not? How is this not a conversation that's being had when a candidate's running for office? Are you going to create a black master plan? Are you going to create a master plan for neighborhoods south of 630? A black master plan. I call it a black master plan.
But
because you're representing me.
But why would he create a black master plan when nobody even determines or even dares to ask him to create a black master plan?
He can still create one. You can still create a black master plan.
I'm gonna give you $50,000 for your campaign. I need you to do this, this, and this.
Right.
He ain't thinking about nobody else. Or she.
Yeah, probably.
You get my point?
I get your point exactly.
So if there is no one that is demanding you to create that, see, the politicians move, they move with money. But the one thing that politicians understand clearly is that before they can get that money, they gotta get your vote.
No, they gotta get the money to get your vote. They can't get your vote without the money.
Well, I'm just saying that the bottom line, and I'm thinking about Mitch McConnell. He went to Congress, and from the day that he got into Congress, he has averaged over $2.4 million a year in growth, in economic pocket change. Mm-hmm. This is Mitch McConnell. Mm-hmm. So the question is, he's getting that money from lobbyists. We know that. Mm-hmm. All right? But Mitch also understands is that I got to do just enough and say the just enough things to make sure I can continue to get that money by getting their votes. Okay?
The way you keep the money is you do what the people who are giving the money say.
Exactly.
Or you vote the way they say. That's how you get the money. And usually, I think Doris Wright is a perfect example. Doris Wright is a perfect example of this, right? Doris Wright raises an ungodly amount of money. She voted against residency. Okay? She voted against residency. She votes against almost everything black. I was really surprised that she was one of the votes for the Civil Service Commission, the Civilian Review Board. I was really surprised that she was a yay vote for that. Because Doris Wright votes against everything that's going to benefit black folk. Doris Wright votes against her own ward. Her and BJ, they vote against their own wards more than anybody I know. They are consistently voting against the wishes of their ward. Now, a small part of her ward would agree with that. Would agree with some of the votes she makes because a small percentage of her district is north of 630. So yeah, they would agree with that. But I mean, overall, man, Doris, man, she makes some really horrible votes that are detrimental to her district, and they keep re-electing her, and she keeps raising. And the reason they keep re-electing her is because she makes those dumbass votes, she can raise money. Director Richardson, man, he struggles. I think he struggles to get 15, 20. I think he struggles to get 10, 15 grand. Director Hendricks doesn't even try to raise money. Since my first election, I think I raised 20 grand. I was a new black guy on the new leaf on the vine. Everybody broke me off. Everybody liked me until they really got to see me do my advocacy thing. Realized that I couldn't be bought and paid for. And then in 14, I got no money. I got no money from the business community.
Well,
and all my money dried up.
You just made an interesting point. Until they realize you can't be bought and paid for.
Yeah.
So those that are in office, all they got to do right now is say, hey, I'm done being bought and paid for. I'm going to do something for this city.
Well,
at what point did you stand up and say, look, I look around this. I mean, I know they travel. When you go to other cities and you look at the amenities that those cities have, and then you come back and look at the amenities that Little Rock has, you ought to be saying, damn, what's wrong with us?
Yeah, but Dave, if we want people to stand up for us, we have to buy them back. And how we buy them back, we fund that damn campaign. So when they get, just like right now, we got 2 candidates running. Dave, we should put more money into Daryl and Denise. We should put more money into them than anybody else in the city because they represent folks south of 630. We should be putting tons of money into them, whether we live in this district or not, because we want to let our black elected officials know we own you. We expect you to fight for the things that are important to us, and we expect you to get things done. But we don't do that now. We don't support campaigns financially. We barely support them any other way.
Well, we don't even demand that they support them, let alone give them money.
Yeah.
Because I think all of us have been jaded into believing that it's not going to make any difference anyway.
And to some degree, people can't fault Denise if she gets money from white people. You can't fault her for that. Are black people giving money?
Apparently not.
So if black people won't support their own candidates, then some say, then why do they expect anything to change if you're not supporting your own candidates? And the truth is, nothing will ever change if we don't change the way we think about politics. I mean, I meant to go back and look at Powernomics by Dr. Todd Anderson because that piece is very important.
It sure is.
You have to own your elected officials if you want to see things change. And by own them, I mean everybody said, "Well, I voted for him." I don't really give a damn about your vote. I can buy your vote. The way I buy your vote, I can raise money from these good old white folk. They'll give me all the money I need to create whatever narrative I want to create that you'll buy into. Yeah. Because I was able to pay somebody to come up with something to tell me how you think and what you see and what will make you vote for me, right? Once I get that, I don't give a damn how you vote because I know that once I finish with you, all the stuff I send to you, all the stuff you see about me, all the stuff you hear about me, you're going to vote for me.
Yep.
So I don't really give a damn about your vote. I don't really give a damn about what you think either because when I finish with you, baby, you're going to give me your vote anyway. As long as I can raise the money. Now, if I can't raise the money, I can't get all that out there.
Well, if people don't get up and start standing up, this is going to get worse before it gets better, folks. I hate to tell you that. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And let's just be realistic about this. You know, You do have the power. The problem is you don't realize how much power you have, and that's typical of any populace.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't see it, that's why I keep using that Puerto Rico situation. Those are American citizens. We got tired of their governor and said, we've had enough. We don't want you anymore. We don't care who's backing you. We don't want you anymore.
And people in the record do the same thing.
That's
Start
what I'm
sending
saying.
emails to your elected officials, regardless of, and especially at large. If you ever want to send them an email and let them know about your frustration about your community, send it to board@littlerock.org. No, is it .org? Yeah, .org now. No, it's .gov now. Board@littlerock.gov. Send it to them. Let them know how you feel about things that are going on in your community. Let them know what you feel. Let them know what you think. You do not have to take this. Send it to them. Board@littlerock.gov.
And black preachers,
Black preachers too. Yeah.
do something.
Everybody. I
Do
mean,
something.
we're at a critical point. I think Dean has put down the gauntlet, and I think we're gonna, as we move forward, we're gonna see him come and something's gonna come. Something big's gonna
I
come.
just had an epiphany.
Yeah, 20 years on the board, I have an epiphany.
That's just amazing to me.
We ain't did nothing.
That's mind-boggling.
So now they want to change policy. They want to change policy and the way they go about doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Move the goalposts. We've seen that before. Hey, we got to get out of here, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow as well. It's our issues, our solutions, our voices. We call it Black Focus Radio.
Hey, spend money in your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace, people.
Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices.
That's just crazy.
Join us every weekday afternoon at
That is
1
just-
p.m. on Jordan.
And then the bad thing about it is that he won't get any